Hey, it's Fern Bark, and today we're going to be taking a look at Ryobi's newest inverter generator. It puts out a whopping 700 watts, but the reason I actually like this machine a lot, or I'm hoping I'm going to like it, I haven't even started it yet, is that it runs on propane, which is a huge advantage as far as fuel storage goes and runtime. So this is supposed to run for 3 hours on a 1 pound propane cylinder and 20 hours on a just your regular barbecue tank, which gives you a huge advantage if you need to run it overnight. Now the bad part about this being only 700 watts is you're not going to be able to run any major appliances. So if you're hoping to keep your refrigerator and freezer running, if you lose power, it's just not big enough for that. It has a surge of 900. I know from personal experience that even though my refrigerator uses right around 400 watts when it's running, the surge when it starts up is about 1350, which would just wipe this thing right out. The generator comes supplied with enough oil to get you going, a funnel, a screwdriver that fits the screws on the front, spark plug wrench, and the smallest propane pigtail I've ever seen. This allows you to adapt, lets you screw into a 20-pound propane bottle. This is pretty straightforward. You got your spot right here where a 1 pound propane bottle will screw in. And you have your on-off button. Here's a ground if you want to hook this up to a ground in case you're using ground fault GFI type outlets. You got an overload indicator light, overload reset button, and your one single socket to plug in a power cord. Here's the front cover removed, and you're going to have to do this before you ever start the generator up because you're going to have to add oil to this spot right here. Otherwise the generator will not run. No joke, that's a pain in the butt to screw in right there. I tell you what, I did not enjoy that. It's like 100 turns, but it fits in there so snug and there's no room for your fingers at all. Anywho, let's see if how many pulls this takes to start up. First thing you got to do is press this primer button for a few seconds. I can hear the propane going in it. Alright, let's see how she goes. Ooh. So to give you some kind of a feel what the noise factor is, the generator is on the opposite side of that wall, just beyond that window. So it's really not that noticeable inside, which is good for me because I'm easily annoyed by noise, and you're not going to be disturbing the crap out of your neighbors either. I just got done running the low wattage test, put in a brand new bottle, and I'm going to run this thing, I'm hoping pretty close to 500 watts, and see how long it takes to exhaust the bottle. So I'm just going to go ahead and prime the carburetor here. Give her a couple of pulls. What you want to do is pull a little bit, get some tension, and then give it a, I say that. Alright. Well, I'm going at 463 watts, which is this light and that heater working, and you can hear the generator right outside the door. We're running at about 500 watts, and the cylinder's getting pretty frosty, but it got that frosty when I was running it at 140 watts, so don't freak out when you put one of these 1 pounders in there and she gets a little frosty. I'm going to test with the propane bottle just to see how it worked with that, because I had a little performance issue with the smaller bottles. Worked flawlessly. I had it between 600 and 650 watts for a whole hour. Didn't flutter, nothing, ran smooth. There is a bit of an issue getting this hose on. This is just a cheap pot metal thread inside the engine part here. This is brass, but what it's threading into is soft metal, and I almost stripped that thing. So when you're putting this in there, you're going to make sure it should thread very smoothly. and after dinking with it for about 15 minutes, I finally got it to thread in there smoothly and tightly so that it would work. But it would be very easy if you got mad and just started cranking on this thing to actually break it. And then the other thing that really is irritating is this hose. Why? I mean, it should be at least another 6 or 8 inches longer than it is, because it just doesn't. I mean, it looks like it sticks out to the side here, but once you put in the bow of the propane tank, I mean, the tank is, you just barely have enough hose for the tank to not be tipped over on its side while it's hooked up to this thing. I mean, just a wee bit more hose, honestly. Well, after running this for 2 days, what are my final thoughts? With the big 20-pound propane bottle, this thing I think is a really sharp performer. I didn't have any issues with it running, and I ran it at a full load. I mean, pretty much about 640 watts for a straight hour. Didn't shut off, didn't flutter, nothing. With the little tiny bottles, a bit disappointing because several times while it was operating, and this is at real low loads, the machine would just shut off. I could get it to start right back up again, but I think I had some real issues with these bottles frosting up while it was running. I mean, it got like really frosty. This bottle, it started out 1 pound, 3.2 ounces. Final weight is 13.3, so it was just a scad shy of a full pound. This one had 400 watts, ran for 1 hour and 40 minutes. And then this other bottle started out at a pound, 13.7 ounces. Final weight was 13.4, so it blew through the full pound of fuel inside the bottle. At 140 watts, it was supposed to last 3 hours, but it only lasted 2 hours and 14 minutes. So way lower than what the rated time is. So that's very disappointing because what it does is it lowers the performance of the big tank too. So I think, but I still could run it all night on the big tank, so I don't have to worry about the furnace dying on me while we're sleeping in there. But really, that's quite a difference in what the rated runtime is and what I actually saw. Unfortunately, I don't have the budget to blow through $4 bottles of propane to try this 10 times to get a decent average out of it. But yeah, it's kind of disappointing because I have a couple other inverter style generators and they all run at the amount of time that the box says it's supposed to run. So not very happy about that. But it runs quiet, and it's actually about the same noise level as my other inverter generators, so getting the smaller package isn't going to really save you any noise. But it is super light. This thing weighs 23 pounds. I mean, it's really easy to move around, real easy to start. So other than the fact it doesn't run worth a flip on the propane bottle, which would be the real reason you want to get it anyways, pretty nice little generator.